All right, here we are. It's Tuesday night, April 5th, 2022. Pesah is about a week and a half away. We're at Ahaba Ve Ahva, and we're giving a class Pesah related. So we're looking at Keter Shem of Rabbi Shem Gaguine, and we're in volume 3 on page 80. And he writes on top of the page.
A little background on him?
A little background on Rabbi Shem Gaguine. Rabbi Shem Gaguine came from a very long and illustrious family of Hachamim in Yerushalayim, and obviously it's an old Sephardic family. Rabbi Shem Gaguine in particular, okay, his father, Rabbi Gaguine, was a Hacham, and before him, his father and grandfather were big Hachamim in Yerushalayim, Abraham Gaguine and Gaguine, and there was Rishon LeZion, as well as heads of the Yeshiva Bet El of the Mekubalim. His great-great-grandfather on his mother's side was the Rasha Shalom Sha'abi. So he's very, very well, connected and well-versed, and obviously he received the semicha from Rabbi Yaakov Shaul Eliyahu, as well as others. He was also well connected with the Ashkenazi community, who thought very highly of him because he was very, very smart, very scholarly, and very worldly. He was invited to be a Dayan in Cairo, where he spent a few years, and then from there, as Jews from the Middle East were moving to England, and more particularly to Manchester, they invited him to come and be their Hacham in Manchester. And he was the rabbi in Manchester. From Manchester, he, if you want to call it, graduated to London, to the Spanish and Portuguese congregation, where he was one of the main Hachamim. And he was in charge of the Montefiore school, the rabbinical school that they had over there in England in Ramsgate. Very important Hacham. Okay. And we've studied many of his works before. And
you send him the pictures of the...
You could send him.
I don't know.
No, it's not that.
Not that.
Oh, we're doing something else.
Well,
anyway, so we had some topics in mind to do tonight because his volume on Pesach is very, very large. But at the request of some boys here, we're going to do page 80. And we'll read the top of the page and you'll see where we're going with it. So, Bishop Gaguine writes, Hamanhag ben Ashkenazim. למלא כוס יין לזכר אליהו הנביא בסדר ההגדה לפני שהפוך חמת אחיו וקוראים אותו כוס של אליהו ואין כמנהג ספרד. He says the minhag among the Ashkenazim is to fill up a glass of wine in remembrance of Eliyahu Hanavi in the order of the Haggadah before saying the part of Shefoch Hamat Echa, which is after Birkat HaMazon, okay? And they call this Kos Shel Eliyahu, the cup of Eliyahu. And it says, Ve'en ken minhag Sepharad, and this is not a Sephardic custom, okay? Plain simple to the point, you think there's nothing more to say at that point. But he continues. So he writes now, Mispar Arba Kosot, Hem Keneged Arba'a Debarim, Shayu B'Yisrael, so we know there were 4 cups of wine that we use. Okay, so where is this 5th cup coming in is the question of Rabbi Shem Gaguine. We have 4 cups, and each of these 4 cups represent something else. So we know they usually tell you etc. But Rabbi Shem Gaguine is going from a different approach. He goes, no, the cups actually represent different aspects of Am Yisrael. First one, Shelo Shinu et Shemotam. They didn't change their names. Sheni, Shelo Shinu et Shonam. They did not change their language. Shelishi, Shehayu, Gedurim, Ma'arayo. They basically kept the, kept cleanliness of family. Okay, and they didn't, have illicit relations and things like that. And Rebi'it, Shelo Hayu Bahem Dal Turin. Okay, they didn't do negative things. They didn't speak negatively about one another. They had basically, they were high quality people because of all these 4 factors. They held themselves in high esteem. So now, how do they connect to the berachot? They didn't change their names. So the first beracha we have, on a cup is Mekadesh Israel, right? Sanctify Israel. You're sanctified through the speech. The speech is connected to the name. We're going to get to the speech by itself, but just the name of Israel. Bnei Israel עלו, בני ישראל נפקו, וזהו כוס ראשון. טעם לכוס שני שלא שינו את לשונם, שפתנו איתנו להלל בפה ולשון לספר הניסים ונפלאות אשר פעל אדוני עם אבותינו. Because the second one has to do with the Hallel, okay, because the second cup, they didn't change their language. And the language is what you use to praise Borei Olam. And in the Hallel it says, or rather in what do you call it, in the Pesukim of Tehillim, okay, we have a Pasuk, Sifatenu Itanu Mi'adonanu. It talks about, since our language, our Sifatenu Itanu, remains with us, then that keeps us connected to Borei Olam. We have this secret code, like Eddie, you speak your own secret language, you know, to get around. So this is our secret language, the Shona Kodesh. Same thing. כוס שלישי, כנגד שהיו גידורים, עריות, מלכים עליו ברכת המזון. על רמז כי הם עם הלחם אשר הוא אוכל לשנה מעליה. He says, the third thing that we said they protected themselves from promiscuity, from sexual illicit relationships. And the Hachamim tell us that people that are very careful in protecting themselves like that, generally make sure that they never go hungry. He always takes care of people like that. You always have food coming your way because you're careful, you know, in what you're looking at and what your desires are. So the other desire, because those are man's greatest two desires are sex and food. You're careful with one, I'm going to take care of your other one for you. So that's connected to Birkat al-Mazon, he's telling you over here. Birkat al-Mazon. كيم هاللحم أشياء هيو أوكل يشتمع عليها. كوس ربيعي شلوها هيو بهم دكتورين لما يروها الجويين أينا إلوهيم. We say in the Haggadah also, why should the Goyim say Ayena Elohim? Where are their gods? Here are their gods. They keep themselves on a high ethical level. They don't speak, you know, in a negative way about one another. They don't cheat each other. They're not out to, you know, to destroy one another. So now the Goyim say, well, where's their gods? Or we see their gods. They must have gods, Am Yisrael, because of their high ethical level. So put that on the side. He's giving you an intro to the four cups. And we need to find out what this other cup is, this Kos Shel Eliyahu he's telling you.
The fourth cup, what does that have to do with?
We have four cups.
Right, so the last one,
the last one has to do with what you call it. Because in the Hallel, right, the Hallel and the Haggadah is split up into two sections. We have the first section of the Hallel that we say before the second cup, and then the second section of the Hallel is before the fourth cup. So the Hallel is split, and so therefore we have one part of the Hallel having to do with the way we praise God, and one of them having to do with the way the Goyim look at us and ask, where is their God? Okay. יש לעיר כי שם המדרקת הבלו גילו מסתורין שלהם המקום דקטורין שם עתיק בלו נפרסו בעריות אבל מדרש תהדים כתב שלו ולשינו שמם ושונה בלו גילו מסתורין שלהם ולו היו פלוסים בעריות ובעיקר רבב של השנבא על פסוק גנעוד הגרסה שלו שינו את שמם ואין לשונה ולו אמרו לשון הרע ולו נשא אחד מהם פרוס בערבה ובכלתה שלו נחשדו על העריות ולו על לשון הרע ולו שינו שמם לשון וזכתה زوتراتي شلو شلو الشمال ولو حلفوا شمو سملو تام ولو قلوا سودان ولو باتوا هميلا. So basically over here just showing you, as we know, many times the Hachamim in different areas seem to contradict themselves. They give the explanation for one thing in one place and then they give it for something else elsewhere. But it shows even though we have these things, they all come back to the same four things. Now he's going to get to the course of Eliyahu Nabi. منهاج زي شبنا أشكنازيم لما اللود كوسياين لزيخ إلياهو لفلي شيفوخ مصاتي كتور شئين من هجام لشتوت كوس زي ومقديشيم أطول إلياهو بكورين كوس زي بشيم كوس شل إلياهو. So Chemshim Tov Gaguine, he's mystified by this concept of kos shel Eliyahu. What is it? Where did the Ashkenazim get it from? What do they do with it? He's saying, I don't know. Because I see that they're doing it, but what's the source for it? And what troubles me even more is that they don't drink it at all. They just put it out there like here's a cup. It's like, you know, think of Somebody puts out a cup of milk for Santa. Okay? What's going on over here?
They waste it and just throw it out after.
Yeah, they don't drink it. Haram to drink it. So it goes to waste technically. But let's see what he continues with. حباستي بسفر الشونيم بلو مصاتي من هاج كده. Because I looked in the books of the earlier Hakamim, I found no reference to such a minhag. إلا هزكيروه أحرونيم. It's only mentioned by the Aharonim, by the later day Hakamim. فهن الآلي لو مار إيش تشتربيب من هاج زي من هاج يشام بخمك وموش لود الجعول أحداريم شباب يشنين بدل بيسح لود العول أحداريم شباب يشنين بدل بيسح يبني سنة قالوا بني سنة عتيدين هجايد. So possibly, since they're calling it Pesah Eliyahu Nabi, maybe it's connected to the old custom of not locking the doors where you sleep on the night of Pesach. Because Pesach we were redeemed, so possibly on that same night we're going to be redeemed as well. So we have to have the doors open, ready to run out with the Mashiach. Because maybe it's connected. It's called Leil Shimurim. It's a night of watching. Borei Olam watches us on that night. We're most protected on that night than any other night. And that brings me to another halakha and minhag that I wanted to bring up, which I didn't bring papers for to discuss. And that is, on a year like this year, when Pesach, the first night of Pesach, falls out on Friday night, it's Leil Shabbat. Every Leil Shabbat after the Amidah, we have Vaychulu, and then we have Birkat Me'ain Sheba. This Beracha Me'ain Sheba was instituted by the Hachamim to prolong the prayers, to protect the people. In one sense, in the ancient times, the Hachamim, the Gemara tell us, the people used to not pray in the city, but their synagogues used to be outside the city limits, out in the fields almost, okay? In other words, let's say here's your city, okay? And there were no synagogues here. The synagogues would be outside. So everybody had to walk to the synagogue in a place where, let's call it barren area, no man's land, and they would have to walk back. So if somebody got to Knis, late, they're catching up in the prayer, everybody left, and now he's left standing alone. Something could happen to him on the way back by himself. Okay, it's late, it's night, it's dark, there's thieves on the road, there's ambushers, marauders, it could be anything going on. People that, could steal, rob, whatever it may be. So the Hachamim instituted this Beracha Me'ain Sheba to be said every Friday night to elongate the prayers, so that way nobody is left in the keys by themselves and everybody can leave at the same time. It was a safety factor. The question is, when Pesach falls out on Friday night, do we say this Beracha or not? That's a very nice way of approaching it, but it's still Shabbat. So I was saying on Shabbat, we're going to now omit it on Shabbat. Can we omit it on Shabbat? Okay, if it's regular, Monday night Pesach, okay, no big deal. But you have your Halil. But Shabbat, now we're saying this Beracha all the time. Do we get rid of the Beracha or do we not get rid of the Beracha? And the Hachamim say because Leil Shimurim, it's a night of watching, the extra measure of protection, we have no fears whatsoever, and therefore we do not say this Beracha, and anybody who makes this Beracha is Beracha L'Battala. And if you're in a Knis where they're saying it, haram to answer Amen. You can't even answer Amen. According to the Mekubalim though, Mekubalim say no, you have to say the Beracha. You cannot forego the Beracha, and you must say it. And this tends to be a big fight, mainly in Yerushalayim, every time that this falls out. Already in Yerushalayim now, the rabbis are all writing letters against one another. They're putting out pamphlets, each one shambling the next one. No, you have to say it. No, you don't have to say it. So it's a big issue in areas where we don't have established, protocol, established minhagim. Here we know, in our Knis, in our community at large, whether among the Egyptians, the Syrians, the Lebanese, we all know we do not say it.
When did they start saying it?
It's already in the Gemara. It's already in the Gemara. So it's very old. Okay? Anyway, so that was just a side note. Okay, because we're going to get Leil Shimurim, a night of watching. All right, so now he continues. This is a day that's in the calendar ready from the days of creation. And there are no evil things that can befall a person on that night. And there's a tradition among Am Yisrael that on such a night, Eliyahu Nabi can come to announce the coming of the Mashiach. We have a tradition, okay? And this is in the Midrashim of the Hachamim. وأمر حاسدون ببيال دير وحقودش بيقول له تحت المتيم بيال دير دياه تقول له توب تختيب هنا أنوكي شوليه على خير من ديار النبي لفني بو يبو أدوناي وقالوا نورا مفتاح له هنا إسرائيل شيل دياه بال لو بعرب شبات بلو بعرب يوم توب ببني التورح بني أبو دياه مسير باي فتوح بني سير كرتو مهرا بيقول زيت تلو بإمونا وسفرها إمونا الزود يبو يوم Okay, there's a tradition that Eliyahu Nabi does not come on Arab Shabbat, does not come on Arab Yom Tov. That's the reason that Hoshi'ainu will skip on Fridays, because I think Hoshi'ainu come and save us. When come and save us? It's Friday, we're busy preparing for Shabbat. Eliyahu, wait, after Shabbat you can come to us. On Shabbat.
How's it say?
What? There are plenty of places to say, but the reason for the minhag of not saying it is because of this tradition of Eliyahu Nabi not coming on a Friday. So if he's not coming on Friday, what are we saying Hoshi'ainu for? We don't really want to be saved because we don't want him to come. If he shows up and tells us we're busy preparing for Shabbat, Kedusha Shabbat to us is more important than waiting to be saved. We'll get one more Shabbat in before being redeemed. But now once Shabbat comes, he could come. Yom Tov comes, he comes. So now Pesach has a Yom Tov. Eliyahu Nabi can technically come. What do you got?
You'll see, dude. It's going to have it or not.
Well, I would put it in. I would definitely put it in. I would put it in. My personal opinion, I think you should say Hoshi'ainu. That's what he's asking me. I think you should say it on Friday. Because we always want to be saved, regardless. Come, save us.
Shabbat was early and it's late, and you know the early ones like daylight savings and then post daylight savings. So
what about when people pray early Friday nights for no reason when Shabbat starts at 8 o'clock? Same thing. Anyway, what do you expect? No, but my personal opinion, I think it makes sense to say Hoshi'ainu. I'm just giving you the reason as to why Hoshi'ainu is not said. Okay. וסיבת האמנה זו רצו להראות בפועל אמונותם ברגשתם למלות כוס יין לכבוד אליהו. So Rabbi Shem Gaguine is telling us it seems to be that the reason, to show their emunah in Borei Olam and their emunah in Eliyahu Nabi and being saved, so we want to do something tangible, something we could actually show that we have this emunah and we're calling upon Eliyahu Nabi to come. So you know what? Let's put out a cup of wine for him and call it the cup of Eliyahu. And you see this because if you go to Eichler's, they sell these big giant cups for Eliyahu Nabi. Okay, bigger than any human being could drink.
Not every person has to have the whole cup.
No, one cup for the table. One big cup for the table. Okay? Basically, you can pour a whole bottle of wine into it practically. منهاج السفراديم شيش ببيت الكنيسة شكل عدا بعدا كيسة يفه بخدوبة عليه كيسة يعني بريد وياه. Because us Sefaradim, we have كيسة for the Brit Milah. That says كيسة Eliyahu Nabi on it. Okay? And this is what we prepare for Eliyahu Nabi. Every time we have Brit Milah, we're out there accepting Eliyahu Nabi all the time. Every day of the week we have Brit Milah. Eliyahu Nabi comes to us. They have once a year comes to the to the table maybe. It's like also like the chair that you have in the sukkah for the ushpizin for the guests that come. كيفاً شدبنا البيت هفوان شسرية كان كوس حميشي كموش كاتوب بالسعيفة كود اللي دانو بدعتام نشتوتو يبقين شاريزو موسيف على 4 قصود. So there's an opinion in the Gemara, the opinion of the Beit Hafon, that it's not 4 cups of wine. You really have to have 5 cups of wine. And according to the Rambam, you have to have 5 cups of wine, and the Yemenites drink 5 cups of wine actually. Okay, so this 5th cup of wine now remains for us as a question: should we have it? Should we not have it? And in fact, there are many people that
when is the 5th cup? After the 4th cup? After our 4th cup?
No, it would be before our 4th cup would be their 5th, and it's in between the 3rd and the 4th. And between our 3rd and 4th is that extra cup.
after the mazon, you have 3 cups. After the mazon, you have 3 cups, right?
Birkat Hamazon finishes and you drink the 3rd cup at the end of Birkat Hamazon.
Right. You have 3 cups if you did it with 5 cups. What I'm saying. After Birkat Hamazon. No?
No. Birkat Hamazon, he's finishing Birkat Hamazon. And you drink the 3rd cup.
Right.
Everybody drinks the 3rd cup. Now the question is, how many more cups after that drink the 3rd cup? 1 more cup or 2 cups?
That's what I'm saying.
Okay, I didn't hear that. Okay.
If it's 5 cups,
Right.
if it's 5 cups, then you're going to have 3 after Birkat Hamazon.
One at the Haggadah mazon, one in the middle somewhere, and one
Okay, so I'm not considering it after, I'm considering it part of Birkat Hamazon. That's why. That's the misunderstanding.
Yeah, okay, fine.
Okay. It's the cup of Birkat Hamazon.
Yes, I understand.
All right, so that's what.
It's the only time we really do that. It's the only time we really do that after Birkat Hamazon. We have a cup.
Many people, no.
People do regular.
Many people do it every Shabbat.
We talked about it. I think
Many people do it.
you do it.
No, I don't do it. But if you have a lot of people, especially, why not?
Okay.
No, but there are definitely, and there are people that feel it's very important. Usually on Shabbat, you get an extra berachot, so they'll do it every meal of Shabbat. They'll do it as well. So, as I said, the Beit Telefon says you have to have 5 cups. Other Hakamim say no. So now this 5th cup of wine is left up in the air. Do we have a 5th cup or do we not have a 5th cup? And if we have it, do we make a beracha or not make a beracha? So the interesting side note I was going to say now is nowadays in Eretz Israel, many people have instituted adding this 5th cup of wine. Because if you look at the words in Sefer Devarim, okay, okay, those 4, we say each one is representative of one of the cups of wine. The 5th word that comes in the pasuk is vehebeti, and I brought to the people to Israel. Now we have the incoming of the masses of Jews throughout the world. And the majority now are technically in Eretz Israel. Okay, they've come to Eretz Israel as part of the vehebeti. But we're here now. We should be having that 5th cup of wine. And many people have started instituting doing that in their homes, in their communities. Many people have communal gatherings for the meal of Pesah. They'll do it as well. Now, there are hachamim and rabbis that have come out, in favor of it. And on the flip side, you'll have many hachamim that have come out against it. But it's important to know what's going on out there. Because throughout life, you encounter different things. The same way Gaguine encountered this cup of Eliyahu Nabi.
Is it? They came out against it, but is it? For example, if somebody does it, is it bad? Meaning, are you not allowed to have the 5th cup? You don't need to do it.
So according to some rabbis, bad and you should not have it.
Bad and you should not have it.
Yeah. Yeah, you're adding. Okay, who are you to come and add to what we've already established as normative halakha? Okay, so according to some hachamim, it's bad. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I believe Acham Yosef has come out against it. Okay, all right. Here we go now. Okay, so maybe this cup of Eliyahu Nabi is something that's put out there. Here's the 5th cup, but since we're not sure if we should drink it and make it beracha, we'll put it there. So we know that a 5th cup is, something that's important, something that's mentioned among the hachamim. Okay, well, we can't really drink it. And the reason, and I don't think he mentions this in this next paragraph, so I'm going to say it on my own. The reason they call it the cup of Eliyahu Nabi is because when Eliyahu Nabi comes, he's going to come and resolve the issue for us, whether we do this or not. Like many other things with the Gemara, they call it teku. You have a question in the Gemara, and you don't know what the answer is, and they say teku, okay? Teku, taf, yod, kaf, kof, vav, okay? Tishbi, yabo, tishbi, yabo. No. تشبيه يفارش كشيا وزو Okay, Tishbi is Eliyahu Nabi. Another name for Eliyahu. Eliyahu Nabi is going to come and answer this question for us, and that's why. So we'll have put the cup here. We'll put the cup of Eliyahu. That way, when Eliyahu Nabi comes, that's what we're going to ask him, and he's going to answer the question for us. All right. Haggadah, Keter, Shem, Aram, Hajiz. הטעם של כוס אליהו כי הוא מלאך הברית המעיד שישראל מה יהיה כימין מצוות מילה. אוקיי, ברית אליהו נתן, אוקיי. ובפסח נאמר בכל ערל לא יאכל בו. והזכיר כמובן מנהג זה בהיטב, נוהגים במניין אלו ומזוכו אחד, ונוהגו של אליהו. So the gira, okay, the famous gira, the Gaguine Eliyahu from Vilna, he gives an explanation in the name of Moshe Hajiz, saying the reason for course Eliyahu, Eliyahu Nabi is known as Malach HaBerit. He's the Malach of the Berit Milah. Okay, and he has to appear at every Berit Milah. So what's the connection now to Pesach? Because at the halachot of Qurban Pesach, okay, it says specifically, V'chol arel lo yochal bo. Any non-circumcised person is not allowed to partake of the Qurban Pesach. So the Nabi comes to make sure that every person there is what he called is not arel. He has the Berit Milah. So this is a connection again to Eliyahu Nabi. ومنهاج سفارات إنام يدعي من منهاج زي. And the Sephardic custom, we do not know of such a custom whatsoever. The law of Malot Kos Hamishi, we don't fill up another cup. We don't put the hat to the door, and we don't open the door. And everybody has to learn to be diligent in upholding the minhagim of your family, from your father to your grandfather to your great-grandfather, and don't incorporate new minhagim that come from other places. But don't make fun of other people's minhagim. They have minhag, they have to uphold their minhag. You have minhag, you have to uphold. Don't make a mixture of minhagim and make one big salad out of all of them.
Yeah, I like five. I'll go five.
You could drink.
Yeah. You like this one from here?
Exactly. أما الهرب يسحق لابد السنين هذا يتبع الخلاف شموني متهمون هالكيب وسبب دمار خلاص كتات الشيم يميت عند ياو بعد البيت ونين الخطاب يقول شو ياو إيه ومن هاي هذا مقدم. Because some Ashkenazim said no. Everybody thinks that the Ashkenazi custom, universal Ashkenazi custom, is a do this course Eliyahu, but that's not true. In many Ashkenazi communities, they never did this course Eliyahu, and they have a different minhag that they open up the door, and even though they see nobody there, they say Baruch Haba. Imaginary person is coming. And this is what the Bishop Gaguine has to enlighten us about the course. So he gives a different explanation for each of the four kusot. He tells us what his ideas are. He gives us a upholding out with minhagim, shows us why possible reasons are. And this at least, puts things more into some sort of a perspective for us. And we have to know that when the kids come home from school, Daddy, the teacher said, I don't care what the teacher said. We didn't grow up doing it. We're not doing it. We're not adding. We're not changing to who we are. Okay? Good. Let's go to a different part of Keter Shem Tov now. Now I have some papers. Here you go. That was unplanned. You planned. I didn't plan.
Yeah.
No problem. I don't mind. All right. Okay. We're going to do this in page 103. So we'll do the Haggadah. Why does it have to be at night? Why? Everybody's tired. Oh, it's a nice long day.
You can't drink during the day.
You can't drink during the day?
Drink during the day, your whole day is ruined.
What are you going to do?
At night, you go to sleep right after you drink. What's the problem?
You can drink during the day and go to sleep. Didn't you do it on Purim? You had a practice day a month ago. And now you do it. And you don't have to run around and give up missvah. Look, you're home. Everybody's sitting home. Nobody's going anyplace. You can all crash on each one on their own separate couch, and you're good. So let's see. Why did they establish that the Haggadah has to be read at night and not during the day? Okay, so now we're down here. Haggadah. You see what the small aleph is? מנוסח ההגדה שאומרים מה נשתנה הלילה הזה. So we already know הלילה הזה, the Mishnah. But מה נשתנה is not something that the rabbis wrote yesterday or 100 years ago. It's from the Mishnah. It's before the Gemara. Okay, that's how old it is. That means it goes back to the days of the Beit Mikdash. So we know it's old. It's not something really simply created. The Ma'aseh should be Al-Azar, maybe what do you call it? Would be Azab and Azariah, and all of the Hakamim, right? You Misubbi, so we know the Hakamim also doing everything all night long. And we learned that the main gist of reading the Haggadah has to be at night. وعلينا الحقول لما لو تكنوا لأمرا على سبب البسوق بيجتال بنخاء بيومه. But the pasuk in the Torah tells you بيجتال بنخاء بيومه لمور. Right? The whole commandment of Haggadah comes from the pasuk of بيجتال بنخاء, which we say every day when we say Kaddish, when we have to put on tefillin. And the pasuk says بيومه, the day. So if the pasuk tells us بيومه, why are we doing it at night? Why can't we do it during the day? What's going on? ديكينان مني بيوم بدو بالليلة مش أمار فيما شأمروا برخوت أمار بأبا هكول مدين كش نقالوا إسرائيل ومصرايم لو نقالوا إلا بعارف شنو أمار وسي أخار الله يخلق مصرايم ليلة. Why? Because when we're saved from Egypt, everybody agrees, there's no disagreement among the Hakamim whatsoever. Everybody says we were taken out of Egypt at night. It was at night. The Pasuk says, Laila. Open the Pasuk, and you'll see it's in Devarim. Perek Tetzayim, you'll see it tells you that we were taken out, when I took us out at night, Laila. Ukshiyasu, lo yasu ela bayom, shneimar. So he started taking them out at night, and then the next morning is when they started going out. So in other words, the preparations for the going out started at night, and when they started traversing through, that's when they hit the day. Okay? That's Pesach Yasu and the following after the Pesach, after they had the Korban Pesach, they still had when they were in Egypt. Okay, and then they went out. The Shem the Geula began in the nighttime. It started at night. Preparation to go right with the Shem Hagurim, right? You have to be all girded and ready to jump up and run at any moment. That's what they're
prepared to say the night before and then do the next morning.
Right,
prepared.
Exactly. So he's asking. شاد حالات الجولة هيتابع عيلي بشوف هاخي أن قريمها الجادة بالليلة بعد حتى الجولة because we're connected to the Geula. And since the beginning of the Geula began at night, we don't want to miss out on that connection to the beginning of Geula. Okay, we did it once before, let me sleep on it. Exactly. It doesn't work that way. You have to be as excited. The people didn't say, okay, well, let's sleep. We'll get up in the morning to go. They were excited to leave. Get me out of this hell. You know, what are we doing as slaves for so many years? We want to get out. We want to have Geula. Same thing. Every year, we said in last week's class, we said that we have to relive the Haggadah as if it's a fresh experience. Very, very important. Relive it as a fresh experience. בטעם זה איננו שווה לי, כי באמת היינו צריכים לקרוא את ההגדה בליל שביעי של פסח. So what's Rabbi Shem Gaguine telling us? He goes, this is all very nice and well, but it's not good enough. If that's the case, then we should wait and read the Haggadah on the night of the 7th night of Pesach. Right? Because that's when we have the 7th night of Pesach. Okay, so we left Egypt. We're running around in the desert like a bunch of madmen. We get to Yam Suf and we're stuck there. And then we see Pharaoh and his people chasing us. What? Yeah, we see Pharaoh and his chariots and all the other chasing us, and we're scared for our lives. We think that's it. We're doomed to die in the desert. You know, we tell Moshe, well, you took it out of Egypt to kill us here in the desert and to bury us here in the desert. Well, they didn't have the cemetery in Egypt to bury us. Well, what are we doing out here? You know? And they were all worried. But then, boom. You know, it split, the sea splits, They go walking through, they see Paro and his army, his chariots all around. Then they felt relief finally. That was the point when they finally felt, now we're safe. Let's do the Haggadah. That's the Geulah that people felt. Why not do the Haggadah on that night? The time when the Geulah was complete. They ran out of Egypt at night in fear. They were shaking, they were trembling. Right? Maybe they're going to come and and chase us anyway and kill us. Who knows what they're going to do to us? So the Pasuk says the people were frightened. They were extremely scared. And they screamed out to God. Rather when the sea split, as with their own eyes, they were able to see the miracles of Borei Olam. As Yeshua Moshe. That's when they began to sing. As Yeshua Moshe. That's when they started singing. That's when they sang that amazing song. So that would be the most opportune time to read the Haggadah, when the people really felt that salvation. But rather, think back, when they read the Qurban Pesach, okay, they were singing. They were still in Egypt, but they would bring the Qurban Pesach, and that's what was singing and praising God and giving thanks to Him. We have missvah, we have a positive command. We must remember Yisrael Mitzrayim every day of our lives. Every day.
Why don't we do Yom Rishon and Yom Sheni?
Do it.
Both.
Tell you what.
If we could skip Yom Sheni, then maybe
exactly. Have a break in between.
What's the Yom Sheni situation? We have 2 days here.
We have 2 days here. It's not only here. Where are you going for vacation? Where are you leaving to? They have 2 days in Florida too. I want to make sure you want.
Anybody have only 1 day?
Only Israel. Only Israel. בכל יום שעה שנאמר למען תזכור את יום צאתך מארץ מצרים כל ימי חייך ובמשנה שנינו מזכירים יציאת מצרים בלילות. Right? The Mishnah tells us no, but we have to also, it's not only every day that we have to remember יציאת מצרים, we have to remember יציאת מצרים בלילות. Okay, and we read that in the Haggadah. Right? ודורש בן זומא כל ימי חייך, ימי חייך, ימים, כל ימי חייך, הלילות. Alright? And that's פרשה בסיסית in קריאת שמע. And because of this, because it tells us about Kiryat Shema, and it tells us about Yetziat Mitzrayim, and that they were already prepared for Yetziat Mitzrayim already at the nighttime, therefore we have to start at the night because the day always follows the night. And therefore we can't start something halfway through the day. We have to start from the beginning of the day, and that's what we started at night. And that's the end of that. I don't think we have time for a third item. I don't know if we do. Should we try to jump into a third item? Let's try to jump to the third. Give us something. All right, here we got a short one. Page 105. Page 105. Okay. נשאלתי אם גם הנשים חייבות בסיפור יציאת מצרים כאנשים. I was asked the question, are the women also obligated in the story of Yetziat Mitzrayim the same way the men are obligated? Okay. Again, with the small aleph. מזוות החיוב בסיפור יציאת מצרים בליל פסח יעשה מפסוק והגדת לבנך ביום ההוא לאמור. Right? We said the pasuk says והגדת לבנך. You have to tell your sons. No, sons, not my daughters. בעבור זה עשה אדוני לי בשדה מצרים. That's what God did for me when I left Egypt. ועל הפסוק הזה יסדו קדמוננו ההגדה של פסח. And that's where we get the name Haggadah from והגדת. שלא כל בן אדם ואדם חונן את השם ממענה לשון. Because not every person, is gifted to know how to speak and tell over a story. So they give him a text to read, and that way he knows. You have the script in front of you, and you could tell, you could, read the screenplay to everybody. ולהיות בקיא מכל הנשים הנפלאות שעשה אדוני לאבותינו בישראל בכדי שיהיה בכוחו לספר לבנו בכל מאורות השאלה. Therefore, he doesn't live out any of the details of the miracles that Borei Olam did for us. לפיכך נכתבה הגדה. That's why they wrote the Haggadah. כדי שתהיה מוכנת ומזומנת ביד כל איש ואיש לספר בבניו ובני ביתו סיפורי מצרים. Fine. בנוגע למה ששאלתי, now regarding what I asked, אם גם הנשים חייבות לספר במצרים, if the women are also obligated to tell over, okay, the story of Yosef Mitzrayim, נראה לי, אם הבעל יספר לה הניסים נפלאות, okay, it would seem to me that if the husband, the man of the family, okay, the head of the household, tells over to her all these miracles, or the father to his daughter, how wonderful, that's great. And for that particular reason is why we find Haggadot translated into so many languages, whether it's English or French or Arabic or Spanish or any other language. You'll find in every country the Haggadah was translated. It was translated specifically for the women and for the children that didn't know yet how to read. But they are not obligated in saying the Haggadah. It's great for them to hear the Haggadah, to listen to the Haggadah, to know what occurred to us as a nation, because they're part of the nation, but they don't have the obligation to actually recite it. Okay?
The man has the obligation to recite it in Hebrew only?
No, any language. Any language.
The woman is no problem, the man also.
No problem. Any language, you have to understand it. If you don't understand what you're saying, then it's pointless. Okay? Very, very important. Okay, I
got the gist of it. I don't understand every word.
Well, but you have English book next to you. If you need something, you look it up.
I'll just keep on reading. Everybody's reading. We're reading. No, appropriate.
Slow down. Slow down a few minutes. You don't have to. There's nobody standing there with the whip. Go. Stop for a minute. See what you're reading. Not a problem. If you tell everybody we're going to spend 10 minutes this year, I don't think it's a big deal. If you tell you spend an extra hour, they'll kill you. Okay, but 10 minutes, you can gain a lot. 10 minutes this year, you'll gain something. 10 minutes next year, you'll gain something else. And over the course of time, by the time you're a nunno, you can tell a lot of things to your kids.
Can you read over the whole Haggadah everybody reading in English?
You can.
So that's allowed?
Yes. Just when you get to the berachot, you have to say the berachot in Hebrew. But
the story, the Magid.
The whole, you could say it in English, yes. You definitely can. The Haggadah, the concept of saying over the story of Yosef Mitzrayim is a positive commandment, and not from the rabbis that they made it up. It's from the Torah itself. The Torah Olam is telling it to us. Moshe Rabbeinu is telling it to us. You must do it. Now here it is. It is a time-dependent positive commandment. And we've discussed this before. Anytime you have mizvat aseh she'azeman gerama, nashim peturot. Women are exempt. Okay? Men are obligated, women are exempt. וכל מזבח עשה שהזמן גרמה נשים פטורות. ואם תאמר כיוון שנשים היו גם הן באותו הנס, היה נראה לי שחייבות. Okay, and if you want to say, well, the women are also part of that miracle, they also left Egypt, shouldn't they also be involved and be and partake of it? Okay, he goes, don't worry, check out the Gemara, check out the Tosafot, they talk about it. שאף הן היו באותו נס. אבל זה לא שייך מזוות ההורתה. You cannot use an argument like that to usurp a mizvah of the Torah itself. וכן הדין בסוכה, and at the same din of sukkah. Well, the women also came out in Egypt. They're also covered by the clouds, by the ananim. They had the amud ish and the amud anan. Okay, very nice, but they're still not obligated in the sukkah itself. Sukkah is also mizvat aseh she'azeman gerama, time-dependent positive commandment. So therefore, it's incumbent upon the men, but not upon the women. They are peturot.
So the women do not say the barachot.
Yes, they say the berachot of the Haggadah. Because the berachot, what do you call it? We only, Sephardim, we only make, on the wine, we make 2 berachot. Okay? Both of them being Hagefen. Okay?
They're allowed to do that.
They're allowed, of course, to do that. And generally, one person makes the berachah and everybody's and drinks. Okay. The other berachot we're making on Adama for the karpas. You have to eat. Everybody has to make a berachah to eat. You can't eat without. Okay. Al-Akhilat maror, they have an obligation to eat maror. They have to make a beracha on that. Okay? No beracha on the magid. That was another part of the class, but we're not going to get to that, obviously. There's no the beracha. The halil, we're not making the beracha on it, but we're making the beracha on the halil in Kiris. And the night of Pesach, the 2 nights of Pesach, rather, is the only time of the year that women actually make the beracha on halil. They must say halil that night, and they must say beracha on it. Okay? So now the women don't come to Kiris. When you come home from Kiris, you come home, tell your wife, read the halil with beracha, full halil, before the Haggadah starts. Okay? So a lot of things going on. Very, very important. All right, I think we're done for tonight. Is there anything else, Eve?
Any comments, anybody?
I think we're good. Anybody have anything to say, or we're good? Mark,
are Nashim Hayavot in Haseba?
Nashim Hayavot and Haseba, there are those that say that they are not, and there are those that allow them to do it. Mark Seda is asking, are women obligated to lean, to recline? Okay, so basically our Hachamim explain that since our women are not, women of an inferior class, but our women are very, very hashub, and so therefore they should be reclining as well. But are they exempt from leaning? I think is more your question. Okay, I think technically, according to the letter of the law, they would be exempt from leaning. But I would have to double check that, so don't quote me on that part. Okay?
So just trying to understand him a second. So the Nashim are Hayavot and hearing Megillat Esther, though. And the reason why they would be is what? Why? Because it's D'Rabbanan? He's saying this is Deoraita, they're not Hayav?
This is Deoraita. And you're saying Megillat Esther is D'Rabbanan. Okay, why are they obligated in Megillat Esther? I don't know.
Yeah, this is interesting.
Part of it, be part of it.
Yeah, it's the same reason.
Sorry? I don't know. Get on.
It's not from the Torah.
No, it's not from the Torah. This is something in the Torah is a whole different ballgame over here. Okay? But now, Rabbi Shem again, there's one more paragraph. משום דכתיב וכתב לכם בימהודה כמנהל ונכבד ובצחק ושמושגה מנהל שמחה ושמחור ומשית תקיעת שופר וסכן וזה גוזים את שופר Right, so they're allowed, like Tikiyat Shofar, for example, he tells you, he goes, yes, they're exempt from Tikiyat Shofar, but it's something that women generally come running to hear the shofar as well. They're allowed to fulfill it. They're not making the beracha, they're not obligated, but it's something that they've taken upon themselves that they want to be part of. And the same thing over here with the Sipur of Yisat Mitzrayim. If they want to read the Haggadah, of course they can read the Haggadah. If you want them to partake and participate with you at the table, it's also definitely permissible. Okay.
I thought that reason was strong enough. That
I don't hear you. I'm sorry.
Because of Hayo Tobanes, I thought that was a strong enough reason to make them Hayavot.
Have to type it in.
Anyway, this class was Le'lu Nishmat, Abraham bin Mazal, Ruach Adonai, Kennehenu B'Gan Aydin. All right.